Greetings, Guardians. This is Olympus Alliance. And today, we start something that honestly might save you more resources than any guide we've ever made on this channel. Because this is episode 1 of a new series. Do not waste resources here. And this one is especially for beginners, because if you are starting the game, or even mid-game, you don't have the luxury to experiment, to test everything, to build heroes just because they look good. You need heroes that work, that push your progress forward, that actually win fights. And here's the problem. There are heroes in this game that look amazing. When you read their skills, when you see what they are supposed to do, you think, this is strong, this must work. But then you take them into battle. And nothing happens. Because the meta has changed. A lot. Today fights are faster, damage is higher, control is stronger, and healing is no longer just about recovering health. It's about impact, about buffs, about synergy. And if a hero doesn't bring that, it falls behind. And sadly, today we're talking about 3 of those heroes. Let's start with Markus. And this one is a perfect example of what I mean when I say good on paper. Because if you read his kit, it sounds incredible. A frontline healer that protects the lowest health ally, gives a shield that blocks damage, heals, and even after he dies, he comes back as a ghost and keeps fighting. That sounds insane. That sounds like a hero that should never lose value. But then you actually play him. And you realize something very quickly. His healing is just not enough. In today's meta, damage comes too fast, too heavy, and Markus doesn't have the power to keep up with it. The healing doesn't turn fights, it doesn't save your team in critical moments, it just delays things a little. And that's not enough anymore. The shield is the same story. Yes, it blocks damage, and on paper that's strong. But in real fights, it's not impactful enough to change the outcome. It doesn't stop the burst, it doesn't protect your core heroes the way you need. And then the ghost ability, which is probably one of the coolest ideas in the game. A hero that keeps playing after death. But again, if the hero itself is not strong enough, the ghost doesn't suddenly make him strong. It just means he stays around a bit longer while the fight is already lost. And that's the reality. Markus is impressive. On paper. But he does not help you progress. Now, let's talk about Peppy. And this one hurts. Because I actually love this hero. I remember using her years ago. She had identity, she had control, she had that chaotic feeling that made fights fun. She brings stun, silence, blind, damage, even some interaction with shields. Everything you expect from a control hero. But today, she's just not there anymore. The control is too short, the impact is too low, and most importantly, she doesn't influence fights. And that's the key difference. Because look at the control heroes we have today. Polaris. Somna. Even Lian. Even Judge. These heroes don't just control. They decide fights. They create openings, they shut down enemies, they force mistakes. Peppy doesn't do that. She participates in the fight. But she doesn't change it. And in today's meta, that's a big problem. Because if your hero doesn't have impact, then it doesn't matter how many things they do. And that's why she falls behind. Now let's move to the third one. Elmir. And this one is probably the most frustrating of all. Because Elmir is actually amazing. Again. On paper. Clones, mobility, jumping to the backline, avoiding damage, creating pressure. This is a design that should be strong. And years ago, it was. He had his place, he had his teams, he worked. But today, he feels like a hero that is playing alone. That's the best way to describe it. Because he has no real synergy with modern teams, no buffs, no connection, nothing that links him to the current meta. His clones are cool, his jump is smart, the idea behind the hero is great. But then you look at the fight. His damage is low. His pressure is not enough. And while he's doing his thing, the enemy team is already winning. And that's the biggest issue. He doesn't keep up. Nature as a faction improved a lot, new heroes came in, stronger synergies appeared. But Elmir stayed behind. And because of that, he disappeared. So what do all these heroes have in common? They look good. They sound good. But they don't deliver where it matters. And if you are a beginner, that's exactly what you need to avoid. Because every resource you spend on a hero like this is a resource you are not putting into a hero that will actually help you climb, win, and progress faster. And that's why this series exists. Not to say a hero is bad, but to say, this is not the right investment right now. Maybe in the future, with a rework, with a relic, with changes, they come back. But today, they don't help you. And that's what matters. So Guardians, this is episode 1. Markus, Peppy, and Elmir. And trust me, there are more. So now I want to hear from you. Which heroes do you think are traps for beginners right now? Which ones look strong, but just don't deliver? Let me know in the comments. And we'll build the next episode together. Stay tuned, stay sharp. And as always, salute and friendship.